All right. This will be, I'll try to make it short, but gonna address about cages and people wondering why, most homestead rabbits are not out and free, right? But there's also manner of care between pet rabbits who are inside versus outside, and pros and cons, and both encounter difficulties and issues with both, right? I already mentioned about the wire and stuff, and to avoid, having a rabbit who's always wet sitting on their pee and breathing in their ammonia and stuff, yes, you could give them that opportunity to hop around and roam around a secured larger room. Now, the problem with large spaces like that, and even outside, if you have a large space for them to stretch and hop around, they run the risk of getting spooked by anything. A butterfly could fly by and they'd be spooked and run around, freak out, try to find a place to hide from something, and they could accidentally hop somewhere they shouldn't be, because rabbits could hop really high, right? Depending on the size of rabbit, but they could hop like pretty good height range, and they could hurt themselves. They don't know they could hurt themselves. That's why, as caretakers of these animals who are prey animals, they have that instinct. If they see something, hear something, smell something, they're going to hide. They're going to go somewhere they feel safe, they know they could run to be safe. And if you don't give them that security, that blanket, they're going to hurt themselves, because they're not going to stop until they ultimately hurt themselves, right? Like with these girls right here. Like, this cage is perfect for them to lay long ways and relax like this. 90% of the time, this is how they are. They're only active in the morning and maybe at night. That's how wild rabbits operate too. They're not out in the middle of the day like this, because predators are out. Predators are out all the time, but to keep themselves safe, they're hiding or sleeping most of the day. And then they come out to eat for maybe an hour, 30 minutes, and they go right back into the safe space. And the girls over there, they're all cuddled up like a security blanket. That mimics being in a hole, in a burrow, with other rabbits and being cuddled up. That's why, like, when you see, like, when rabbits are in a pole barn, in wired cages up high, it's not big, and they have a place where they could curl up tightly and feel safe. That's why sometimes when you see does with their nest box, they're chilling in their nest box, because it gives them that security blanket that they're safe, right? That's why when you see, most breeders, most homestead people, they have them in wire cages where they're not going to get parasites. They're not going to get diseases. They're not living in their feces that could hurt their fur, that could hurt their feet. And they're in a small area, so they're big enough to stretch out and relax, but they also don't have enough room to cause themselves harm. Because if we have them in a big open place, they're going to hurt themselves. Even in a small cage, they can still hurt themselves, but it limits that possibility. It reduces it. So yeah, like, I'm not saying if you have an indoor rabbit and you supervise it being out and hopping around in its own space and it's comfortable there and it has a place to run to and hide when it feels scared, that's fine. But you can't leave a rabbit by itself in a room like that, because they could get spooked really easily and hurt themselves. That is all that I wanted to say. There could be more, but my phone was whining that it was low storage, so I had to redo the video. But yeah. So right now they're happy, but once they get too old and don't want to be with any other rabbit, then I'm going to have to separate them. But yeah. So hopefully that helps some worries that why don't they touch grass? Yeah, they don't touch grass because they could hurt themselves, get taken away by a predator, get diseases and parasites. Yeah. All right. I gotta go get stuff done.